Now, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Oyedele, has insisted that Nigeria's new tax law will take effect on January 1st, 2026. Despite growing opposition and public debate, Oyedele spoke after a meeting with President Bola Tinubu in Lagos, held alongside senior government and tax officials. He said the reforms are designed to ease tax burdens on citizens, noting that most workers are expected to pay reduced or no personal income tax, while the majority of small businesses will be exempted from key taxes. Oyedele added that large companies would also benefit from lower tax rates aimed at encouraging investment and economic growth. The new tax laws, recently signed by the president, have, however, generated controversy over alleged discrepancies between the version passed by the National Assembly and those later gazetted by the executive. To discuss this now, we are joined by an economist, Olusegun Okunade. You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening to all our viewers across the globe. Glad to be with you. Compliment of the season.
Yes. Now, my first question to you is what microeconomic assumptions underpin the decision to implement a new tax law in January 2026, despite public opposition?
Yeah, we all saw the discussion that was around the space against what was gazetted and what the National Assembly actually passed. But my position on this has been very strong to say what we are discussing in the media space is something both arms of the government can sit down and look where we have some of these issues and straighten it out. Don't forget that when this act was signed into law in June 2025, a lot of organizations have actually carried out a lot of implementation to plug into this. And just a few weeks to the implementation, we started having challenges. But when we look at the whole new tax law, it's a complete change of what we used to have before now. And I think what we need currently is a complete turnaround of what the new law looks like. When you look in terms of the structure and the legal framework, a lot of us have been complaining
anytime we're having
the multiple separate tax law. Ida?
Yes, go ahead, sir. I can hear you. I can hear you. Please proceed.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that before now, we've been having different separate tax law in terms of CIT, PITA, the capital gain tax and the likes. But now we have a consolidated, statutory framework that brings all these together. Before now, we've had different agency, collecting revenue, bringing multiple taxation and multiple levy on businesses that has actually created a lot of bottleneck. But here we are having a consolidated agency called the Nigerian Revenue Service that will now consolidate every arm of an agency of revenue collection for the government. That's a plus. So if you have duplication, it is one agency we are actually dealing with. And if you go further in some of the things that we have in terms of personal income tax, you discover also a plus. So many corporate organizations who their turnover is less than 100 million will now be exempted from tax, also with a fixed asset of over 250 million. There are a lot of development in terms of this new tax law. If there has been any discrepancies in what was signed and what was actually approved by the National Assembly, both parties should look at how to have a common ground. And it is not the citizen that should bear the brunt of some of the gap that we are seeing being experienced within the two arms. When two elephants like this fight, it is the grasses that suffer it. And I think we should not be prepared for that. We should launch into this. It is always a gradual process, which every Nigerian will definitely plug into for the growth and the sustainability of our economy.
Right. Now, Mr. Okunade, it's been said that some tend to debate who really benefits from these new reforms. Of course, it's been mentioned that the returns or the payments have decreased substantially for various, individuals. But my question to you is, how are the reforms expected to affect government revenue projections in the medium term, especially non-oil revenue?
Yeah, it's a give and take. A lot of people have actually castigated that we are having so much relief for the people. How would the government revenue? I think it's a wake-up call for the government to create the enabling environment for businesses to grow. The more business grow, the more we are able to have more people into the tax net. And don't forget, with the new introduction of automation into the processes now, for individual, we are using the NIN as the TID. For corporate organization, the CAC are to be used. You discover that a lot of transaction that goes under the carpet can now be integrated with what we'll have access to through the bank system. So I feel that if you allow this to actually go as we speak, knowing fully well that the implementation team will work out how some of these things can actually be corrected. And don't forget, we have the tax omnibus who are to manage whatever conflicts that might arise to this. So it's fully prepared. And I can tell you that if we plug into it as we speak, some of those gray areas that might be conflicting now can be strengthening. What we are concerned about is how to grow our economy, and the government can diversify more into non-oil and see how they can strengthen the environment. When you create the ease of doing business, you grow more people and you have more people capture into the tax net to generate revenue for the government.
Right. One would question the timing of the implementation of this particular reform. My question to you is, what impact could the timing of implementation have on inflation, consumer spending, and aggregate demand?
Yeah, well, as per the timing, I feel we have over 6 months in preparation for this. Don't forget that this was actually signed into law June 25, 2025, and the implementation, we had a gap of 6 months to actually carry that out. What this will impact on inflation, as you asked, is going to be positive because we have a lot of people that have actually been exempted from taxes. What that does is that it will improve your bottom line. From the VAT, we have some goods that are now being exempted, placed on the exempted VAT list, some on zero rating, which is also giving a plus to corporate organizations to do this. And situation where we have so much tax burden on specific individuals, now we have automation to capture more people into the tax net, and I can assure you that if this actually revenue coming into space.
Right, and my final question to you is, how do the new tax laws alter the effective tax burden on households across different income brackets?
Yeah, the new tax law will definitely impact greatly on every income bracket. From what we have on the personal income tax, we now have a relief that if you earn 800,000 and above, you definitely be exempted from tax. That's to tell you that what the chairman of the tax policy have actually made mention of, that we should not tax the low income people. We should relieve them of some burden so that they can breathe, is actually being carried out. For corporate organization, we will definitely open more liquidity for them. So you can imagine somebody who is doing 50, 70 million, below 100 million, and the asset base is below 250 million. They now have more funds on their part, rather than paying certain specific, even to the government, that is plowed back into the business for them to grow. So that on its own, we give a plus to our growth. And if we are committed to this, with that area of implementation of automating the process, you discover that we'll be able to block a lot of leakages that currently is impacting on government revenue, and together we can grow this. It's a welcome idea, because one thing we keep saying, we can't be doing the same thing the same way and expect different results. Change is inevitable, and let's embrace it.
Mr. Okunade, thank you so much for your time, sir.